New Zealand have amazing rugby talent. The Maori All Blacks alone have a dominant history. The Sevens also have a dominant history as well, and in both gender categories in actuality. The Under-20 All Blacks have a phenomenal record of 6 Rugby World Cups, which are comprised of 4 in a row, and then 2 separate individual Rugby World Cups. The Black Ferns have slightly better statistics, with a record of 6 Rugby World Cups as well, which are also comprised of 4 in a row, except then they also have 2 in a row while currently in 2025, still being in the process of even adding 1 more to that yet again, thereby making it a 3rd in a row for the 2nd time. The All Blacks were the first to win a Rugby World Cup in 1987, despite the current Rugby World Cup champions the Springboks not actually competing in it, which is obviously irrelevant anyway of course, because once a team loses a Rugby World Cup that they've actually competed in even just once, then from that moment onwards, it is impossible for that team to substantiate any claim whatsoever at all to have won any other Rugby World Cup that they haven't actually competed in. That would be equivalent to the ABs when they won the Rugby World Cup in 2015, and then if they were to no longer compete in Rugby World Cups after that, and instead just claim that they would have won all of the future Rugby World Cups if they were to actually compete in it. The ABs were also the first to win the Rugby World Cup back-to-back in 2015. The All Blacks were the first to have a Rugby World Cup lead in 1987, just by default simply because they were obviously the first to win a Rugby World Cup in the very first place to begin with of course. The Wallabies were the second to have a Rugby World Cup lead in 1999. The All Blacks again obtained yet another Rugby World Cup lead in 2015. The Springboks only have their very first Rugby World Cup lead since 2023. Rugby World Cup leads have always been constantly subject to change throughout time anyway, because it's obviously just part of an ongoing competition held every 4 years of course, so in contrast a lead is therefore somewhat rather trivial in hindsight as time passes, because then the current lead eventually belongs to someone else, and then the cycle just repeats itself back and forth. The All Blacks have won 3 out of 5 Rugby World Cup encounters with the Springboks. The Springboks beat the All Blacks in the 1995 Rugby World Cup final elimination match. The All Blacks beat the Springboks in the 2003 Rugby World Cup quarter-final elimination match. The All Blacks beat the Springboks in the 2015 Rugby World Cup semi-final elimination match. The All Blacks beat the Springboks in the 2019 Rugby World Cup pool match. The Springboks beat the All Blacks in the 2023 Rugby World Cup final elimination match. The Springboks have only scored 1 try against the ABs in the entire Rugby World Cup history, which was when the All Blacks still beat the Springboks anyway, during their 2019 pool match. Now hypothetically, if Ireland, for instance, were to win the 2027 Rugby World Cup, then they would merely just be the current Rugby World Cup champions, and still not actually the world's most dominant rugby team, especially if they were compared to the All Blacks, or even the Springboks, or the Wallabies for that matter. So in contrast, being the current Rugby World Cup champions is also therefore somewhat rather trivial in hindsight, just the same as it is having a current lead. What truly matters is establishing an epic status, because that is the only thing that is definitely not subject to change, and can only truly be achieved by becoming a pioneer, and even better by being the pioneer of all pioneers. The only pioneers that actually exist in the Rugby World Cup are the All Blacks, because being a pioneer means being a founder, by obviously being the first of course, which is precisely what the ABs have achieved by being the first to win the Rugby World Cup in 1987, and by default, thereby even becoming the first to be the current champions, and also becoming the first to have a current lead in the Rugby World Cup, and then they amazingly repeated their dominance in 2015 by also being the first to win the Rugby World Cup back-to-back as well. The ABs also dominate the Springboks overall throughout history in head-to-head battles, because the All Blacks are ahead by approximately 20 games and also 70 tries, including being between 400 and 500 points above the Springboks. In 2016, the ABs defeated the Springboks back in South Africa by 57-15, and again the Springboks scored no tries. In 2017, the ABs defeated the Springboks by 57-0. Freedom Cup statistics reveal that the Springboks only have 4 separate individual victories, compared to the ABs, 15 comprising of 3 in a row, and then 11 in a row followed by a separate individual victory. The Rugby Championship statistics reveal that the Springboks only have 3 separate individual victories, compared to the ABs, 20 comprising of 2 separate individual victories and 2 dual victories, and also 2 hat-tricks as well as 2 quad victories. The ABs have a 50-test match streak over a time period of 31 years at Eden Park, and the Springboks themselves haven't beaten the ABs there in 88 years, since 1937. The ABs just on their own have also won 20 out of 31 encounters with the British and Irish Lions and drew 4 times. The Springboks are a brilliant team, and so are all of the rest actually, and setbacks are nothing new to anyone including the ABs, but when it comes to the All Blacks in particular, dominance is also nothing new.